Hello, this video is to help you with the virtual titration lab. So let's get started. If I click on my virtual lab, let's navigate through, read all of the introduction, slides, the objectives, and I'm going to help you with the instructions. So if we look at our lab instruction sheet, there is an introduction on that sheet you need to read. I am going to help you with the virtual lab portion. So these procedure steps here follow my written procedure. I can show you how to do this a little bit better than these written instructions because there's been a slight change, I think, in the software. So I'm going to run it. By going to acid-base chemistry and scrolling down to the standardization of NaOH. Na is sodium, OH is hydroxide, so I'm going to call this a sodium hydroxide solution with kpH. So let's go and start that. Now remember, if you're using a Mac, you may need to go into the security settings, download the file, and allow Java to run the file that you have downloaded. But this is recorded on a PC this time. So just like in a hands-on lab, we need to retrieve our materials. So we need the solutions. Step number 1 in your instructions says we need to retrieve the kpH. So drag that over. The 1 molar NaOH, sodium hydroxide, and the phenolphthalein. Phenolphthalein is an indicator. So in the instructions, it's referred to as an indicator. The two words can be used interchangeably, indicator and phenolphthalein. There are many types of indicators. Phenolphthalein is one type. We also need glassware. So we need a disposable pipette, and we need glassware, a 50 milliliter burette. Okay, so now we are on step number 3. Step number 3 says use a disposable pipette to add a small amount of indicator, the phenolphthalein, to the kpH solution. Now here we actually don't need the pipette because this has been changed to a dropper bottle. So we can just drag the dropper bottle over to kpH, and you see how that plus sign, that green plus sign is there? We want to see that, so we drag the two materials right on top of each other, the two containers, and the image of them has changed. It looks kind of like a pouring situation going on there. So we want to transfer 0.3 milliliters. So I added that down here, and then I click pour, and it has been added. Okay, I'm done with that now. You can't see it, and if you were in a lab and you added 0.3 milliliters, that's like one drop. One drop in the total volume of almost 100 milliliters. That's not very much, and you're not going to see a color. So that is step number 3, step number 4, step number 5, and step number 6. We are on step number 7 now. So our kpH is done. We've used that. We don't need that anymore. We're working on our NaOH. So we need to fill the burette number 7 with sodium hydroxide. So to do that, we drag the sodium hydroxide over the burette. I have my plus sign there, and then I can access the transfer amount field. So I want to fill it. Well, what was our volume for this burette? It's a 50 milliliter burette. So to fill it, I need to add 50 milliliters. So I put my transfer amount down here, 50 milliliters, and I pour it in, and you can now see that it's full. Okay, now number 11, we've moved on to actually doing our titration. So your instruction number 11 says titrate small volumes, 0.5 milliliters of or less of sodium hydroxide from the burette, from this thing, into the kpH flask right here. It doesn't say the flask, but that's what we want to do until a slight color change occurs. Slight color change means it's going to look a little bit pinkish. If you were doing this in a lab, the pink color would appear and it would disappear, and then you would add a little more and it would appear, and then it would disappear as it gets mixed into the solution. It disappears until you finally add enough of the sodium hydroxide that it stays. So we don't have the appear disappear problem here. Here we're just adding small amounts until we see a color change. So if you want to see that appear disappear, Google it. There are some good YouTube videos. So I'm going to start titrating. So I'm going to drag my burette into my kpH to transfer. I see that little plus sign. So I'm going to add 0.1 milliliter and see if anything happens. No, nothing happens. Well, I don't want to show you the end result, so I'm going to totally empty the burette. I'm going to transfer 50 milliliters. Pour. That's a big color change. You want to stop before you see red. That will tell you your end point. So that is how you do the virtual lab. If you have any questions, feel free to email me. Otherwise, thank you very much and good luck.